Hello, and welcome back to my ISS Vanguard strategic campaign playthrough. This is episode 4. When we last left off, the crew members of the Vanguard had gone down to the planet of Pellucid and learned a bit more about the builders. And now they've returned to the ship, and so we are going to take a look at the ship phase. So I've already cleaned up a bunch of things here. We left the planet, didn't have to save anything as we were instructed to remove the planet card, so we're not going to be going back there again. So we'll just jump right into the docking phase where we're going to start off. So we actually had 6 discoveries as we're coming off the planet, and our lander limit is 5, so we're going to have to get rid of one of those. Definitely have to keep those 2. That's required, and wouldn't want to get rid of them anyway. We've got 3 alien techs, so we're going to keep the mineral. So among these alien techs, the one I'm going to get rid of is actually the alien data vault. And I can even say I would make this decision if I didn't know anything, because this is what happened the first time I played through. Remember, the alien data vault is ultra rare. Here, let's pop it up to remind you. So it's ultra rare, and it's got planetary exploration. When you gain this discovery, you can flip an incomplete rank up card to the completed side, which is fantastic. And which is why I want it back in circulation, because anytime you at the beginning of every setup, you're going to reshuffle the discovery decks. So I don't know if I'm going to use it on research, probably, but it doesn't really matter at this early stage in the game. I've got 4 different research projects plus the one we already had. None of them are looking for ultra rare tech. None of them are looking for rare tech. So, the thing I was thinking the first time playthrough, same decision here, is if it's ultra rare, probably not going to need it for a while. So let's put this one back in. This will be the one we don't keep, and then hopefully it'll show up in a future mission. Okay, so that is step 2 of docking, is to discard excess discoveries. Next up, we're going to reclaim all of our resting crew. So I'll just drop these down here for now. Sorted by section. Everybody's back. Nobody was injured on our first mission. And then we're going to go ahead and move on to debriefing. Promote crew members. I've already done that. I've bumped them all up to rank 2. I am playing with the personnel files, so they've all got a little special mission and some more backstory. But as I said in the initial video, we'll resolve that and read that text and find out what their side quest is the next time they actually go on a mission. So then we are going to move to creating the success pool, which I've placed over here. We picked up 5 successes, and we're going to go to our baggie in the awaiting envelope, where I've set aside the 1 extra success we had from last time, which gives us a total of 6. So now we go to buy or sell dice, and the cost is 6. We have 6 dice. We can spend 1 crew member to make that cheaper. If we had a level 3, to reduce the cost by 2, which we don't. If we had a level 2, which we do have 2 level 2s available, that would reduce the cost by 1. So I could spend either Mark or Agatha to reduce the cost, which is tempting, because then I'd hold on to 1 success. I'd only need to pick up 6, but I do know we are going to be gaining another success token from the fractal nanostructure. So I think, that being the case, I want to keep as many crew options as I have available. There's a lot of stuff to do this shipbook phase, so I'm just going to spend the 6 that I've got, and we're going to get an extra die in each section. And I've already made that decision. You can see them out here on the board. I'll just run through once again my thinking. I forewent a couple of Vanguard dice last time around because I wanted to make sure I had all the symbols accounted for. Now that I've done that, I'm going to give those two crew a Vanguard die, and that's going to be in Recon and Engineering, and we're going to give them a Vanguard die in their primary color. For security, yeah, I didn't really. I was looking to fill out either a green or a blue die. Thought it might be nice to have another technology, spread that out a bit. So that's where I went with that choice. I know gathering, especially early on, you're trying to pick up discoveries. That's just going to be really useful. So I wanted to get the other gathering die into rotation as soon as possible. So that is going to go to science. Decisions are a little bit easier to make, I've realized, since I'm planning on sending 4 crew all the time. Then I know I'm always going to have whatever dice. I think if that weren't the case, I might have held back the gathering die and eventually given it to security just to give them the full range of options. Granted, only a level 2 would be able to choose from that full range, but it would allow me a lot of flexibility. But since I know I'm going to be bringing everybody anyway, this is the setup I've decided to go with. So we'll just pop these dice in. I'll be able to get one more die for everybody and still be able to use them all with rank 1s. So next up, we're going to do the unloading phase, beginning with our alien discoveries. We got the crystalline shard. I remember ship management, when unloaded, place research project R05. The scintillating crystal shard into the awaiting envelope. I've already set that aside over there, so we can go ahead and slot this in unique discovery number 2. And then we've got the scorched records, which doesn't have any ship management ability. I do want to take a quick moment talking about ship management abilities. This is the only time of the game when you would pay attention to ship management. So if you have an effect that lets you gain a discovery just outside of, during the ship phase, they're always going to tell you, move it to gathered discoveries. So that means you're not going to get an opportunity to activate it. So something like this fractal nanostructure, or a good example, there's going to be some of these discoveries will say, during ship management, you can discard it to get a different discovery. Well, whatever discovery you replace with it, you are not going to get to use the ship management ability because it's going to have you move it to gathered discoveries. So it's really, this ship management ability is only going to apply to stuff that you actually manage to pick up while you're on the planet. Okay, so that said, we are going to go ahead and we're going to move these 3 to our gathered discoveries, which is to say I'm just going to leave them out on the table here. We're going to resolve this. We're going to gain a success token. We'll put it over here for now. And that is the end of that segment. At this point, we would store the lander. Don't have to worry about that. And we'd move on to medbay, so where this is going to be something we have to deal with. We did have 2 of our characters, crewmen, got injured in the process. Boris and Monica, no insult to her already injury by continuing to call her Nicole. Monica and Boris, though, are going to need some healing. They've got 1 injury each, so they're going to go into the light injury section. And let me just slot them in here, and her in here. So they'll get a rest, but not in too much danger. They'll be ready to be back in action next time around. So again, just kind of flipping through the pages, right? The next thing we would do is go on to the memorial wall and deal with any characters who died. Thankfully, that hasn't happened. Then we'd do a save point, but we're not going to save. We're going to keep going. So we go back to the beginning of the book, and now we're on the bridge phase, and we have a few upgrades to slot. All right, so we have a new campaign objective from eons past. Find more Builder's Steelies on the nearby worlds. Brimstone in the 81 INF system, Matchstick in the NU4 SETI system, Everstorm in the GYF4 system, or Atropos in the Iota Pegasi system. The steels that predate the local civilization have to be a part of the builder's plan, whatever it is. So we're going to take that. We're going to replace the existing situation, the next step. That's going to be removed. We'll put in this one. We have also increased our tech level from 1 to 2. Just quickly reading the text there. We made initial improvements to the Vanguard system, and the end result of that is we're going to be generating more energy for this turn instead of 3, and we're actually going to be doing better than that because we have the improved solar panels. +1 energy whenever you generate your energy pool. The advanced photoelectric inner coating of the Eye of the Void can be replicated to improve the output of the Vanguard's solar panels. So I'm just going to put this right here underneath energy. And the next step would be to generate our token pools. I actually shorted myself one. I had done it in advance, but remember, we're actually going to get 2 command tokens from here and 1 because we raised the morale. Bottom line, I do get the 3 command tokens. Energy, we get 4 plus 1 is 5. So that completes generating our token pools. We do have to now draw a situation. So remember I told you in the first shipbook phase, you just draw off the top of the deck. And it actually reminds me, we are in a situation where before we reveal new situations, we have to resolve the existing one, right? So we do have a situation, homesick, that we did not resolve last time. So let's take a look. So just a reminder on the text. It's been a couple of years since Vanguard left Earth, and the ship's new mission seems like a daunting, enormous enterprise. Some crew members are only now realizing they may never see Earth. Yeah, and some of them are realizing that if they behave badly, they're going to get marooned on a planet in a prison colony. So, yeah, it's understandable that while morale is generally up, it might affect efficiency a bit. So now we have a choice. We can either lose a command token and shuffle this card into possible situations, or we can lose a success and shuffle this card into possible situations. I don't want to lose the command token. I did that for a reason, that we got to 3. We're going to be able to do more things. The success, it may mean, now we need 7 successes to get another die. I did kind of forget about that. So maybe I should have spent a level 2. It's all right. 7 dice is a good number to be sending on a mission. If you think of dice in terms of odd amounts, is when you get those jumps that the rest is more effective. Right, so now that we have, whether we have 7 or 8 dice, the rest is going to get us back 4. So if it takes us a little longer to get up to 8 dice, that's okay. I think it's more important at this point to have the extra command token, and I think it's probably more important to have the full complement of crew. We might want to send Mark and Agatha on this next mission to see if we can't level some people up to rank 3. So this is now resolved. Either way, right, we're going to now shuffle it into possible situations. So remember, we didn't shuffle the situations deck before, guaranteeing we would draw this. Now, who knows? We might even draw the same one again. Might get homesick. So let's give it a good shuffle. And let's find out what problem will be facing the crew of the Vanguard if we don't resolve it. Provocation. A group of dissenting crew members tries to stir up trouble in order to blame the captain and his section leaders. Did nobody tell these people about the prison planet? I guess not. All right. If we don't resolve this, so we're doing the effect now, this would happen, not now, but next ship phase. Draw 1 additional situation card and move this card to the awaiting envelope. So, boy, that'd be annoying. This is just going to fester and linger until we deal with it. Also, speaking of, you're going to see some of these do get moved to the awaiting envelope. Some get moved. Make sure you check the errata. This is probably the worst and most egregious and dangerous error that was made in the printing of the game is, and I'm sure it'll come up at some point. I'll point it out. There is a situation that cannot be solved that tells you to move it to the awaiting envelope. After you resolve it, you're supposed to move it back into possible situations, because otherwise you just be stuck on an infinite loop and always drawing it, which would suck. This one, at least, we can get rid of this by doing the bottom thing, which is when solved, shuffle this card into possible situations. Again, I've said this before. I'll say it again. It shows what symbols. Those are boost icons. The first time, if we go to the situation room, then the first situation we resolve is going to be free. We get to ignore these symbols. If there were a cost on here, spend a crew member to do this, we'd have to spend that crew member. But our first one, we're not going to have to spend either of these symbols. All right. Don't know if we're going to do this yet. We'll give it some thought. Having a couple of situations to deal with next turn might not be terrible. We're certainly going to have more crew. So let's get back to the game board. All right. We've done that. So now prepare the planetary scanner, which is we're ready to travel. And again, I just tend to store this right in the binder with the page we're on. Of course, that is not the page we're on. We are in this system. You can check through here to get a reminder of what you can do. Again, always read all this text. I'm not going to do it, but when you're playing, first 4 or 5 times through the shipbook phase, read everything. Trust me, you will be grateful for it as everything starts to click. All right, so we're going to start here. Again, I would leave it here. Any upgrades we'd have with the travel ability would go there so that we have them for easy reference. We don't have any of those yet, but let's take a look at where we are. All right, so we have already landed on Pellucid. That's not even an option. We have done the prison planet, but no, we could do it again if we want to. There's no reason to. We're already at high morale. But these abilities that just are printed, that are printed on the page, they're available to you unless it says otherwise, as long as you have the energy to spend. So if morale ever gets down again, we could always take a trip back to the system and toss some more people off the ship. Why not? Again, what's the worst that can happen? It'll make everyone else happy, and that's all we really care about, right? It's how do the people on the ship feel? We don't care about the people on the planet. Okay, so, but we're not going to do that. We're already at high morale. So before we spend any energy, let's take a look at our travel options, which is 3 places we could go. We could go back to the Eye of the Void. Yeah, we're not going to do that. There's nothing for us there. And then for 1 energy, we can either go to 81 INF or NU4 SETI. In this case, really don't have much information to go off of other than the names of the planets, right, which are from your builder's map. So, our choices between Brimstone and Matchstick, both lovely sounding places. We're just going to go, in this case, I'm just going to choose the top one. We're going to go to Brimstone. You cannot peek ahead. I mean, you can, but it's cheating. The idea is this is discovery and exploration. So I can't strategically tell you which place you would go to. We don't know anything about them. You won't find out until you actually pay the energy, fly there, and see what's what. So we know we can travel for 1 energy. We have 5. I don't know that there's any reason to come back here other than the potential morale boost, but there's going to be other ways to raise morale. So, if this were our only time in 2I2, that would be fine. And if it is, then we should probably take a look at this cuboid now. So, strategically, I think one of the things in our last playthrough, there's a bunch of things that log entries like this we haven't explored because we were never sure about what we wanted to do with the energy. We were a bit cautious. always thinking we had to save a bunch of energy for planet scanning until we realized, we can use crew, or just not. So I think one thing I've learned, at least from my experience, is if you have the opportunity to explore a system while you're in it, and you're not always going to be able to explore the system entirely, but if you have the opportunity to cross another item off the list, and then go ahead and do it. It's a game of discovery. You don't know what you're going to find, and a lot of the fun is in discovering that. So I think we are going to go ahead and we're going to spend the 2 energy to take a look at this cuboid, which is a piece of rectangular debris floating through space. We spend our 2 energy, and we're going to go to log 156. So let's take a look at what's there.
Operator's log.
The cuboid is made of steel, bleached from the cosmic radiation, but likely red before. Preliminary scans reveal that it's filled with radioactive substances. Dangerous for us, but they may hide interesting secrets, as this object is certainly artificial.
Okay, so we've got an option. We can destroy the cuboid, or we can take the container for research. Well, what do we want to do? Again, I actually don't remember what happens if you destroy the cuboid. I have some recollection. I think in this case, this crew has already shown a penchant for focusing on really striking out in exploration. I'm sure there's some people who are being like, no, that stuff's radioactive. Do not bring it aboard the ship. But come on, we got advanced technology. Surely we can treat radiation, probably. So yeah, I think we're going to take the container for research and find out what happens.
Medical report, excerpt 189F.
Those who made the decision to take this radioactive junk onto our ship should be brought to justice. Several crew members contracted radiation sickness, and who knows how many of those in torpor chambers are also affected. I'm sure this decision will haunt us for many years. I only hope that the discoveries we've made are worth all this suffering.
I mean, that sounds pretty dramatic. What, do you want to send more people to the prison planet? It's radiation. How bad could it be? Look at that. Gain 2 alien tech discoveries. And again, this is the example I was talking about before. It's very explicitly says move them to gathered discoveries. So we're going to go over. I believe, and I'd have to double check on this, but the alien data vault is technically discarded right now. So it would be, technically it would be at the bottom of the alien tech deck, which I'll then reshuffle when I put it out. So I'm not going to be drawing that. We are, however, going to get a strange gizmo and a solid superconductor. So we've got the strange gizmo, which just has flavor text. This piece of ancient technology seems operational, though we do not dare to use it outside of a safe, controlled environment. I mean, yeah, it could be radioactive. So clearly, if we're going to be working with something radioactive, it should be in a safe, controlled environment, right? Right, science department? Okay, good. And then we've also found, look at this, we found a solid superconductor. Come on. You're a science department. You have to be excited about that. Ship management. When unloaded, you may discard this card to place 2 energy in the energy pool. That's a great ability that we don't get to use because this goes straight to gathered discoveries. So they are just fodder for... They are fodder for discoveries. Wow, that is a lot of alien tech. As you can see, we have 4 alien tech and 1 mineral discovery. Which is fine. I am sure we will figure out ways to put it to use. Yeah, so the first time I ran through this, I was thinking, whoa, what are the long-term effects? And we're really wondering about that. Double-checking the logbook to see. I feel like it would have made sense to at least shuffle a future situation into possible situations, but nope, it's just flavor. It's flavor text, but you know what? It's a part of the story now, so you'll probably be hearing about that radiation sickness later on in the campaign. even though it has no practical game mechanic effect. All right, so that completes that. Now we have 3 energy. There's nothing else to do here. Despite bringing this radioactive alien technology on board the ship, it did not affect our morale. So we're going to spend an energy, and we are going to fly over to 81 INF, which is on page 4. So let me get that set up, and then we'll take a look at it. All right, we've moved on to 81 INF, but before we take a closer look at that, something I wanted to point out about, so with the cuboid, again, this is an action you can do again. This is one of the things I was talking about. Sometimes I like to use the logbook in conjunction with the app, just to make sure we're not missing anything. So this is a good example of it. The first time you check out the cuboid, it has you check off a box in the logbook. And it says if this box is already checked, then you're going to go to a different log entry. Then you're given the 2 choices, and they could send you to 2 different log entries. So there's actually 3 things that can happen when you go to this interaction. The first time you go, you can either destroy it or not. The second time you go, something else is going to happen. You would have no way of knowing that from the app. You'd just kind of be left to guess, and well, maybe I go back and try again and see what happens, and maybe I don't. So it's really, and sometimes it'll be obvious from reading the first log entry what'll happen after you've checked the box and you come back again. It'll be a nothing happens, or in this case, it actually sends you to another log entry. So looking in the book, I don't know, but other times that information is going to be given away. So you kind of have to decide. If you want to play optimally, strategically, and you want to have all the information, then check the logbook, because that may inform some of your decisions. If you want to just, if you don't mind missing some stuff and just kind of letting discovery take you long, that's perfectly valid too. You do not have to play to the extent I'm playing the game here. As we get into it farther down, there are, depending on how you look at it, there could be drawbacks. By playing optimally, you're not going to need to go to every planet. So you're not going to experience all the content the game has to offer, unless you unless you do go to all the stuff, but won't be as interesting or exciting if you've already maxed out all your upgrades. We'll see. I haven't fully gotten there in my other campaign, but we're kind of starting to reach that point of like, well, we have a bunch of planets. Do we need to go to all of them? But my daughter and I are having fun, so we probably will explore them all. In any event, so that's the deal with the logbook and the cuboid. So now, let's take a look. We've arrived in 81 INF. All right, science and recon sections both intercepted a strange repeating signal coming from the system. I try to look for clues in the text that might be helpful. They may or may not be, but I'm reading right now science and recon. So if I weren't planning on sending all 4, if I were just playing a 2-player game and we're both sending one section down, again, in a 2-player game, you can send more than 2 people. You just have to control multiple people. But if we had decided to only send 2 people, I might look here and say, oh, science and recon. It's specifically called out here. Does that mean they're better on that planet? I don't know. But you kind of pull in whatever information you can get wherever you get it. So as for this repeating signal, there's 4 different things we can do here. There's tide, caller, moon. The vast bodies of liquid water could support life. For no energy, you can assign 1 crew member and go to log 263. Cool. The fact that it doesn't cost any energy, well, it does cost a crew member, so it doesn't cost nothing. So we really don't know what that means. Then we've got 81 INFB, Brimstone. This young planet is characterized by heavy geothermal activity. Scans also reveal rich mineral deposits and vast cave systems, making it a prime target for a ground mission. And this is where we would do a landing. So we would do landing card L3. Again, it's 0 energy, as all the landings I've encountered are. Third option, 81 INFC. These are not very exciting names. If they don't have like Tide, Caller, Moon, and Brimstone, it's just C. From time to time, the scorching gas giant flings plumes of molten metal one could even say liquid hot magma. I guess that's different from metal. Into the exosphere. 3 energy, so that's pretty expensive to go to log 291. And then we've got 81 INFD. The planet is just a giant rock floating in space, but its moon is strewn with strange structures. For 2 energy, we can assign 2 crew members to draw 1 mineral discovery and move it to gathered discoveries. So right now, we've only got 2 energy left. Depending on how much we want to scan brimstone. The other thing to think about is, right, we are going to be able to potentially do some of this stuff before we leave next time around. But I think the first thing I'm going to do, since we're trying to play optimally, is I'm going to take a look at my research projects and see how many mineral discoveries do I need to complete the most number of things. Okay, so I've done a lot of thinking here, a lot of looking at things, and I want to run you through my process. I've got 4 research projects here, in addition to one I already have. That one I can't do. It requires a discovery I don't have. Looking at these, one of them's free, one's alien tech, one's mineral and alien tech. So for 2 alien tech and 2 mineral, I could potentially do all 4 of these. I don't have the 2 mineral. So I'd have to spend 2 crew in order to be able to do that. Okay, here's the problem. So I'm looking at the types. 2 of these are materials, 2 are builders. So whichever group I choose, I'm going to get to do both of them for free without having to boost with any crew. We'll get into that more when we do it. So 2 of these I'm going to be able to knock off. Then if I wanted to do both of the other 2, I would have to pay the boost cost of 2 crew for each one. So really what I'm looking at is to do all 4 of these this turn, which is crazy, but kind of cool. It would cost me 6 crew. I've currently got 8. I'm going to plan on going to the barracks, pick up 4 more to a total of 12. Speaking of which, the other 2 are resting in medbay. These 2 are just resting, so let's not forget to put them in resting crew. So I do have these other 8, though, who are resting before. Again, 4 of them are going to need to be set aside to potentially go on the mission. I'll pick up 4 new ones. So I'd have 8 crew to spend, and I'd spend 6 on research, leaving me... If I want to finish the 2 production projects I know I already have, that's going to take 3 crew boosts alone. So I wouldn't even be able to... You're not going to be able to do everything, and that's okay. Doesn't seem very efficient. I wouldn't have anybody left to scan the planet because, it just, it just doesn't... I could do it just because I can. Doesn't mean I should. So I am not going to. I am going to forgo that extra mineral discovery. So I think I am just going to assign a crew member for now to check out Tidecaller Moon. None of these decisions are easy. But the way I looked at it is I've set aside these 3 crew member potentially as people who will be needed for the 2 production projects I've got now and know I've got. If I want to finish them, I would need all 3 of these crew members. So I'll keep them set aside. Then I'm thinking, well, if I do want to do, maybe I want to do these 2 builders, but I also want to do one of these minerals. That is going to cost me a couple of crew to boost. My whole process was, I took a look at the symbols on this page. I've got 2 crew with technology, so I could afford to use one of them. So then I'm looking, okay, there's 2 sections that require technology. This one requires technology and biology. Okay, so if I decide to do an extra one, I'll slot it up here. So those sets those 2 crew members aside, which leaves these 3 available. At this point, I don't want to send Agatha. I want to keep her available for the mission. Tabisa's ability is not that great, and if I decide, once I know what's on the planet, if I feel like I really need technology, I can hold Keith back and I can see what happens with recruiting. So a whole long roundabout way of saying that we are sending Tabisa Gabehu on her first little mission as she is going to explore Tide Caller Moon. So we're going to spend 0 energy. We're going to assign a crew member, move her to resting, and let's go to log 263.
Mission time 5 minutes, 21 seconds.
The waves are even stronger than recon and science described. Our lander is in constant danger of sinking. But we must believe it will prevail. We're diving in a minute.
Mission time 41
You got
minutes,
this, Tabisa.
10 seconds.
The tides are troublesome. We are getting pushed around and almost crashed into rocks several times. It's hard to stay in one place long enough to take samples.
Mission time 2 hours, 12 minutes, 55 seconds.
Finally, we've gathered something interesting. A sponge-like organism and some porous rocks that resemble Earth's coral reefs.
Mission time 3 hours, 35 minutes, 18 seconds.
Damn! We can't lift off! The engines are flooded! We need help!
All right, calm down, Tabisa. We're going to send you help. I hope. All right, what has happened? Gain 1 live specimen discovery and move it to gather discoveries. Lose 1 energy if you have any. So I guess we are not going to be able to go to 81 INFD. That solves that question. All right, so we're losing energy, leaving us with only 1 energy. We do gain a live specimen, which is nice, although not particularly useful right now. That's funky looking. Digesting amphibian. When unloaded, you may discard this to draw 1 random discovery of any type. That'd be nice if we picked that up on the planet, because then we could discard it to get a microorganism. But we didn't. So that'll just go over here. And all right, we are down to 1 energy left. I mean, we have the option. We could... Actually, we can't even. Flying to Iota Pegasi costs 3 energy. So I was going to say, you know, if there were another system that we could fly to... There's TOI too, but there's no planet that we can land on there. That's Pellucid. So we could do that. We're not going to do that. We'll have an extra energy, which we are going to use to scan the planet. Speaking of which, let's get back to where we should have been, which is on the star map on 81 INF, and we are going to spend 0 energy to land on, or to scan, Brimstone. So that is going to be card L3. First one costs 0, so very good. We'll slide that up. Next one cost 1 energy, which we have, so we'll spend it. Not a bad thing. And then the final step cost 1 energy. So we got a couple crew here. And yeah, we're going to have Vidas go ahead and finish the scanning of Brimstone. So we've done it all. We can pull this out. And let's take a look at what we've got here. All right, orbital debris, high shields advised. Frequent checks, looking for recon and gathering. Biomes, we've got desert and volcanic eruption. Well, it is called Brimstone. I suppose we shouldn't be surprised about that. Weather, there's a wandering threat. So we do know that we're going to encounter our first threat here. And then a biological curio on this planet. It would be useful to have xenology and biology. They are advised. So that is the information we've got. Thank you, Vidas, for letting us know that last bit of information. All right. It's time to move on to ship facilities. We'll set aside this Brimstone card here. Ship facilities. Okay. First things first. We got to hit the barracks because we're already down to our last recon and last engineering. We wouldn't be able to spend them. So let's get some more options. Spend a command token. Flip our way over to the barracks. And okay. Not going to shuffle anybody to any other sections. There is a downside to doing that, which is when you transfer somebody to another section, they move to resting. So you don't have them to use. And I'm at a situation here where, I haven't fully accounted for everything we're necessarily going to want to spend. So let's not worry about that for now. Keep everybody where they're at. We don't have any level 3s. If we did, we could rank up a level 2, or we could rank up a level 1 to a level 2. So then we go to the actual main part of the barracks. Remember, our morale is high, so we're going to draw 6 crew, which I picked out here. Just quickly run through them, and then I'll take a look and decide who's going to go where. So we've got a Blake McFarlane, who's well trained. He's got that red die or red conversion, so that may put him on the security track. We'll see. We've got Cheryl Hayes, who's the only one we drew with a blue conversion ability. So maybe engineering, though she's good at defense and she's adaptive. And then we got a bunch of people with nice variety. I got actually 6 different conversion symbols on all 6 characters. We've got Bolahan Muba, whose specialty is xenology. Lena Freeman, whose specialty is construction. Natalia Torres, gathering. And Yut Nimawan, whose specialty is scouting. So I'm going to take a look over all the options, kind of look at, again, take another look at what we need for the planet, what we might need for tech and for research and production, and figure out who to slot where. I'll be right back. And I've made my decisions, and it took a few minutes. This was pretty tricky. A lot of good options here. Did not actually end up taking Blake. He did not make the cut. The ability is just, I'm not impressed. And I've already got 2 characters with tech. So even though he's got the red conversion symbol, don't know how much I'll need it. I like Natalia. My initial thought was to put her in security. She can refresh all red dice. She's got a gathering conversion, which is really nice. But we'll start with security, where I thought it was my first opportunity to get someone with the protect symbol among my crew, and those are definitely, I could definitely see times when I may need that during the ship phase. I mean, that ability, adaptive, is so good. Spend 1 charge to turn 1 die to a chosen side. You can turn a Vanguard to double Vanguard with that. It's incredibly good. So she is going to be joining security. Joining science is going to be Yut Nimawan. It's a really cool ability. And I actually like putting it outside of security, who usually has ways of mitigating wounds. When any crew member in your sector would gain an injury, spend 1 charge to discard it with an injury die instead. And that's not, it's any kind of injury. That's fantastic. And she's got a scouting symbol, which we're going to need. So that's really good. All right. For recon, I originally he wasn't going to make the cut. I was thinking, he just lets you draw cards. That's not that useful. It would be nice to add xenology. We don't have one of those symbols yet. Recon, green, that wasn't a problem. We had a lot of green characters to choose from. Then I thought a little bit more about this ability. Spend 1 charge to draw a chosen card from your discard pile. Well, recon has what I consider to be possibly the best rank 1 section card of anybody, which is don't draw an event. Or move the time tracks back on a global condition back 2 stages. That can be a lifesaver. I love that card. And so with him, There are times when I'm playing with my deck, I'll be drawing through cards just to try and cycle through my deck so I can get those back again. He could just grab it back 2 times more if he can get more charges. So I've never used this ability before. I'm pretty excited about it. I think and boy, if he gets to rank 2 or 3, some of those really powerful cards at the higher ranks, being able to just nab those backs could be really strong. Last but not least, engineering. Another ability I just love. I haven't played any characters with it. My daughter has, and has made tremendous use of spending a charge to take a chosen small or personal equipment from the army. Right now you're thinking, small equipment, what's that? We haven't even seen any of that. Personal equipment, there's not that many of them. You're going to have so much equipment, you're not going to know what to do with it. Some of that equipment is going to get discarded in order to get used. This flexibility is going to be great. And just thematically, look, she belongs in engineering, even though engineering only has the one green die currently. Extra construction. So, and again, that's for engineering, that is one of the abilities that's going to trigger some of their cards. So, multiple ways in which she could be really useful. That is the end of my barracks phase. I think you probably tell by now I've already made the decision that I am not going to deal with this situation. We'll deal with a couple of situations next time. That's okay. Our crew is getting robust and growing. They'll be able to handle it. I don't doubt it. So we're going to go to research first because we do have the potential to get some production projects. So let's start with research and figure out just what we're going to research and who's going to do what. Be right back. All right. That was a lot of shuffling around and figuring out. I basically had to kind of plan out everything to figure out what's going to do what. So kind of the first thing I did was to take a look and figure out who I want to send on the mission crew-wise. And I could be flexible with that if I need to shuffle things around. I'm not locked into that. But for now, I'm thinking these 4. Then I thought about, okay, who am I going to need to complete the production projects? So if I want to finish the Pelican Lander out, I'll need her. And for the other one I haven't slotted yet, I would need these 2. So that'll take care of that. So now we look at research and what I got left over there. And since I've kind of already figured it out, I'll just walk it through now. So we've taken our 4 projects from, we've taken our 4 projects from the awaiting envelope. And first step is we have to slot them in here. They can go anywhere they want. But once they're in there, we potentially would have to pay the cost to get them out. We can't do this one. We don't have it. We can only do one of these 2 that require mineral discoveries. Looking between the 2, this gives the alien materials, gives a bridge upgrade and a research project. The scintillating crystal charge gives me another production project and equipment. And I want to be able to keep the production moving. Because remember, after you slot, even if I can't finish it, it's going to jump up an extra step next turn. So would love to get that started now. So what I'm going to be doing is I've got 2 builders and 1 materials research project. So you can see here, right, what I talked about being able to do. The first one's free, so I'm going to be able to do both of these without spending any crew. So that's that. Then in order to do the materials, I'm going to need 2 crew. I looked through the only 3 that I had left from everything else that I portioned, and lucky enough, I did have a combo of xenology and construction. Go figure. So the scintillating crystal shard is going to go here, and this crew is with these discoveries are going to be the ones to use it. So I'll just put them right there on top to remember. Doesn't really matter where I slot these 2 because, again, I'm just going to get to pull one out for free, and then I'm going to get to pull out any others that match the keyword. So these aren't going to cost any crew. It's just going to cost here. So really the question is, where do I want to put the alien materials. Now, if I do this next turn, it's not really going to matter if I choose to do materials. But let's see. I don't have... None of these people are going to be available. I am going to get everybody else back. So it's really a question there. It's hard to say at this point which of these symbols I might want. So, you could spend all day trying to figure this out. At the end of the day, I have three characters with scouting. So I feel like this, if I slot it here in the middle, that leaves my options open because it's going to be a scout, and then I can either do a science, and so one of these can be free, the other can be paid for. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do them both. And who knows what other research I might pick up. But that decision made, I'm going to go ahead and, let's say hypothetically I put these two here. Doesn't matter. I'm going to pull this out for free because it's also builders. It costs an alien tech. This one's free. Pull this one out, which I have to spend 2 crew, and I have to spend these discoveries. So in terms of which discoveries to spend, I only had the one mineral. For the alien tech, I spent the ones that have abilities, right? So I've got 2 generics here that don't do anything special. Why shuffle those back into the deck when I could potentially gain some benefits for redrawing these? So I'm going to just set these aside up here. They'll get shuffled in a little bit later. And now we are ready to take a look at what we've successfully researched. Well, my crew worked overtime on this scintillating shard, so let's take a look at that first. Due to its unusual properties, the sample taken from Pellucid could help us improve our existing laser technologies. The extreme scintillation of the crystal makes it a perfect material for potent laser focusing lenses. Move the following card from production projects to the awaiting envelope. We get a main ship armament. That is production project C11. So it looks like that. And oh man, I got so excited when I saw that it was boosted with science, because Agatha's the one unclaimed crew member at this point, but it also needs the defense. So not going to be able to boost that most likely, but and that's a stage 1. So, but we'll set that aside. That'll be slotted into our production projects. And I just realized I made all these calculations about, what's going to go where and in terms of who's going to spend what. I forgot that I had 2 more production projects that were sitting off to the side. So that might change some of the calculus a bit, but both of these science. So yeah, we may still be able to put Agatha to use. So let's set those aside with the main ship armament. And let's take a look at the other part of that. We get the heavy mining laser. Hey, we've got our first mission equipment from research, not even from production. This is pretty cool. So let's see. It's going to cost 2 blue dice and an action for the engineering player to place a heavy mining laser token on the board. When you perform a dice check in a sector with this token, you may use any icon other than an accident or a basic. So any specialty icon as gathering. At the end of your dice check in this sector, refresh all red dice from your spent pool. Wow. That could be really great. And engineering's got the ability to move tokens around with some of their cards. We're going to have to take a closer look at the available engineering cards now that we know we will have some mission equipment. And potentially with our production, we will also get some more of that. So set that aside. That is going to go into the armory. That is it for the scintillating crystal shard. Well, that was well worth it. All right, let's go to our analyzing the message. Is there something we might have missed in the recording the builders left for us? Maybe. The additional data recovered from the message helped us better understand what the builders attempted to do, and we're going to take a look at log 100. So let's open the app, see what this research has netted us.
Research log 18C.
When analyzing the message, we discovered that the order in which the builders placed worlds on their list wasn't accidental.
Though at a different distance from the Eye of the Void, they form an ideal chain for gravitational slingshots to accelerate the journey through them. Using this information, we were able to develop an idea for an improved bridge star map, which would make our journey more efficient. But there was also one thing that began to greatly disturb some members of the security section. The Earth was too far from the Eye of the Void for our 20th century radio and TV broadcasts to reach it. It had to intercept them in some other way. We believe the most likely answer is the builders left an object hidden deep in our solar system. We have sent an FTL probe with a message to Earth, advising them to look for this hidden observer, but it will take a long while for the probe to reach them. On a more private note, I noticed a worrying trend. Some crew members are growing increasingly obsessed with the builders and their plans.
Okay, so we're going to get a bridge upgrade, a research project, and a ship situation. Let's fetch those. Let's have a look. First of all, we've got our first travel upgrade. The advanced star map. Reduce the cost of travel to any outbound system by 1 energy to a minimum of 1. And the very tiny text on there says, utilizing calculations performed by the builders, it will make our travels between the systems more efficient. So that's going to go in the awaiting envelope for now. But remember, when we slot it, we're going to slot it on that page, on the travel page, so that we don't forget that we have that discount available. You know, let's grab these other things before I forget. Not a bad idea, actually, to, if you have the space, to empty your awaiting envelope, or at least put it all right in front of you so you don't do what I did and forget about those production projects. Like I said, the awaiting envelope is just a mechanism for storage. You have full access to it to look at it. Okay. So next card that we got as a result of that research was a research project, extreme biome survival. We have a lengthy list of different extreme worlds to visit. We must prepare production projects, lander mods, and equipment. All sorts of stuff. Whew. Alien tech, microorganism, and strange flora. So it's going to take us a lot of work to get there. So we'll just set that aside for now. And then we have the builder's cult situation. I'm not going to read it now. Let's find out. It's enough to know at this point that we're going to have some problems with that. We'll have to see what that entails in the future. That does it for that. So let's now take a look at the builder's landmark. The stele we brought from the planet's surface warrants further study. Grants a story log. Go to log 51.
Away team, exploration report 60F.
Excitement runs high. Materials and markings on this strange milestone-like stele appear similar to the ones found on Eye of the Void, confirming our suspicions. The builders are responsible for creating these obelisks. We now suspect they left one stele on every world marked on the map we've received once we entered the Eye. Some kind of energetic anchor seemed to secure the milepost on the planet and made it impossible for us to move it. But we took all possible scans, made every possible analysis, and built a one-to-one replica of the stele aboard Vanguard. It's hard to determine its exact purpose, and the nature of the glyphs eludes us. Perhaps with more examples to study, we can learn more.
Top secret. Project Birthright. Founding document. Excerpt.
While the builder's message that ISS Vanguard received at the Eye of the Void was far from obvious, it did seem to encourage us to visit all the nearby worlds capable of supporting life, to look for what builders called our tribe. We now suspect each of these coordinates has a habitable planet, and each of these planets has a stele, an obelisk left by the builders. The study of these obelisks is our only chance of understanding the message and our purpose. Therefore, it should be Vanguard's top priority. Dr. Sarah Corey, ISS Vanguard Chief Researcher.
Okay. All right. Project Birthright diagram. Trace a line to a point of our choice. Pay attention if they have a tech level requirement. All right. So, we can start by checking out moving the Steely, which what they had said was impossible, but maybe it's not. Or we can examine the Steely material. Well, if a big replica is one thing, but if we could figure out a way to actually move these things, transport them somewhere, so yeah, let's see if we can learn about how to move it.
Top secret. Project Birthright. Research log 1C.
When our team tried to move the artifact, all conventional attempts failed. We do not understand why. We've discovered an invisible gravity wave tether that keeps the steel anchored in one specific position, relative to the center of the planet's mass. The builders went to great lengths to ensure their steels could not be removed from any planet, or otherwise moved between the planets, though we still don't know why. Short of moving the planets themselves, we have no practical way to collect the steels, and we must rely on their detailed scans for future research.
Gain 1 success. All right. I'm not going to complain about that. That could be the difference between getting another die next turn or not. Yeah, so just to, digress for a moment, because I kept correcting, there's been some debate. It is actually Steely. I did some research on it. Steely is just, reading you the definition, dictionary definition, a usually carved or inscribed stone slab or pillar used for commemorative purposes. So the most famous example of a Steely that you've probably heard of is the Rosetta Stone. So they're kind of borrowing from that idea in this story, and yeah, that is all the root origins. It comes from another word, stela, but you're always pronouncing the second syllable. So some of the voice actors got it right, some of them didn't. But the correct pronunciation is Steely. Although I guess it's a science fiction game, they can make the pronunciation anything they want. Anyway, that completes our research, and we are now ready to move on to the final phase of ship facilities. Spend our last command token to go to the production complex, wherein, all right, so step 1, we're going to install our production upgrade. We did pick up the dual production lines, which is going to let us fill slots both ways, which is going to be really nice. Then we're going to advance any existing projects 1 step. So that's going to move up there. And then we've got 3 production projects that we can slot in. And they are rank 1, 2, and 3. So I'll just quickly run through them again. We have the main ship armament. ISS Vanguard was never meant for war, but we can no longer rule out a conflict with another intelligent race. This massive energy cannon could potentially keep us safe. This is going to give us a bridge upgrade and a production project, and it is going to take some time to finish. We're going to slot it down here. Then we've got biome suits. Our study into hazardous biomes and situations gave us ideas for many specialized armor and exoskeleton systems, grants equipment and production projects. All right, so this is going to require symbols that we do not have. So it doesn't really matter where I put it in terms of either of these. I'll just drop it down here. I don't want to get in a position where if I'm not able to advance this next turn, it ties this up. So I'll actually put it here, because maybe I'll have those symbols, maybe I won't. Finally, we've got the advanced section tools. Too many times our away team faced tasks they were barely able to handle. These new tools should help us to easier solve challenges that may appear during planetary exploration. Grants production project and equipment. Starts in stage 3. So let's take a look at the available crew we've got. Oh, that's a waiting envelope. Let me put that over there. Okay, so if we go with the 4 that we already chose, we've got these 4 crew. So what are we looking at? If we want to complete the Pelican lander, we're going to need Inda, who already started that, to finish the task she had already begun on. I forgot to pull this out. Yeah, so we've also got the heavy mission equipment. Right, so we're going to put that here. And this is actually... Yeah, this is going to work out great. Better than I could have imagined. Because Agatha is going to... So Inda, we're going to use her to boost that. So that's going to complete the Pelican lander. Agatha is going to take care of the advanced section tools. She's a seasoned veteran at this point, having been on that very first mission. So she's kind of, even though she's security, she's got that science background, and she's whipping everybody into shape and getting a whole team to make those advanced section tools. Finally, Yut and Javier are going to get to work on the heavy mission equipment, and this combination, full on, you'd think, well, there's a bunch of engineers working on it, but in this case, it's the scientists who are telling them what needs to be done and putting in the overtime. So both members of the science department, Javier and Yut, because again, this is just to show this card, it is either or, and conveniently one of each symbol. So the two of them work together to complete heavy mission equipment. Okay, and so we are just flying through this. Let's start by taking a look at the advanced section tools that Agatha has uncovered. With this wide variety of tools, there's no task our specialists will fear. So we're going to get a new production project for expert section tools. So that'll be that's gonna take some time, and it requires tech level 4, which we don't even have yet. So set that aside. It's going to be a while before we can work on that, but we do get some equipment, one for each section. So this is our first batch of small equipment. Small equipment, which is held personally by the crew members, but is not personal equipment. We'll get into it when we load up the lander and choose all that. But this is every crew member is allowed to take one piece. It doesn't matter what kind of lander you're taking, and they just take it with them. So these are all of a similar nature. This is kind of, remember, we had those alien techs that we got on our last planet, which you can use them to modify the dice pool. Which is really great. It can really save your bacon. So during a dice check, you can place this card in the roll pool of any crew member in your sector, including yourself. So you can either get both xenology and biology symbols, or let's say you have some effect that just says spend a green die, you could use it for that effect. So rather than have to roll a green die, you just play this card as a proxy. Could be really useful in a situation where there's a really bad penalty for an accident, and so you don't want to take that chance, and you're lacking rerolls. So that's the science one. You can probably see a theme developing here, as the engineering one is going to, it's a portable probe. It's either going to give you gathering or defense or a red die. It almost seems more like the security one, but security is a physical enhancer, which is going to give you strength, as physical or gathering, or physical plus gathering, or a red die. And then finally, we got the mapping mini drones for recon, which is going to use scouting and biology, or a green. So very glad to have those in the mix. That is really going to be useful to have that equipment. That's it for advanced section tools. Next up, we've got the heavy mission equipment. Modular outposts and heavy tools will be a valuable addition to our planetary missions. Move the following cards from unavailable equipment to the armory. It's a whole bunch of equipment, which we'll go through, and we are going to get a production project for planet-sized outposts. We can start that next time, starting phase 2. So we'll set that aside into the awaiting area. And let's take a look at the equipment. All right, I like what I see here. We've got a couple more choices for personal equipment and plenty more mission equipment. We'll start with the personal equipment. Portable lab. Crew members in your sector may assist using any number of cards. Okay. I mean, maybe better down the road. Right now, I feel like not that essential. Plus, given crew members at rank 1, they only have hand size of 2. So, whatever. I'll see if there's an opportunity. I had, to be honest, I haven't used it yet, so maybe there will be an opportunity. Live stream rig. I know I've brought this. I've probably used it once or twice. Let's see but I think, I've really come onto the idea of being able to assist other crew members may assist you from other sectors. Boy, thinking about sending down 4 people down to the planet, right? One of the things I did and wrote up in my strategy, by the way, depending on how you're coming into these videos, and maybe I'll put a link in the video back to a thread I set up on Board Game Geek where I'm kind of chronicling all this in text, and I've even got a spreadsheet I've set up where you can keep track of what all the characters are doing. One of the notes I put there was, right, if you're starting in a planet with all 4 crew and there's a test there like we had in our last session, you can go to town. You and 3 people can assist. So I love the idea in a 4-player game, wherever recon goes, and again, recon is usually the person that's going to be running out ahead to check stuff out. Other crew members plural, may assist you from other sectors. So anything I want to do, I send recon there. I get the help of all 4 people. I get 3 extra dice, up to 3 extra cards. Bring the portable lab. So if science happens to be in the same location, then, I can use a bunch of cards. That's an interesting combo. So very cool. Now we've got 3 pieces of mission equipment. Dehydrated supplies. So just a one-shot. You either spend a green or a blue die. It's not an action. Gain 2 supplies. Love it. The zip line is a fun one. This is recon heavy mission equipment. That other one, the supplies was science. Makes sense. The recon, so if you can only do this if you're in a lander sector. And sometimes there are multiple lander sectors. Sometimes you might run across a thing that counts as a lander sector. We'll get into that later, all the ins and outs of the zipline. But so if you're in a place that counts as a lander sector, you can place a zipline token in that sector. Counts as an action. You do have to spend a die. But then any crew members who are moving away from that location or into it, in either direction, if there's multiple paths, they just get to move for free, but it does count as an action. By free meaning you don't have to roll any dice, don't have to do any kind of check. Very nice. Finally, the mining probe, which is engineering. So you got to drop a token to get this into play, red or a blue die. It's got a time track. So what's going to happen is it's going to take 4 times of time passes. This is actually a good thing that happens because once it gets to the end of the track, you're going to gain 2 mineral leads and reset the track. Really cool. If you bring this with you, you want to get this, you probably want to have engineering go first and use their first action to just drop this in play, which we're almost certainly going to do on our next mission because I want that other mineral discovery. We need one for that other thing. We have one more. Boy, we did a ton of stuff. We still have another production project we completed. It's for the Pelican Lander, which is going to get us a new production project, lander facilities. So that's going to start at stage 2, and that's going to get us some lander mods. That's a lot of work. I hope those are good lander mods. We will find out. But that's not all we're getting, as we have also unlocked our first new lander. Whether or not we use it remains to be seen. It is the Pelican. What stats? This thing has no armor. It's got no agility. At least they put some sensors on it. Yeah, it's not impressive there. Boy, in order to land, you got to move the track 5 times. So why do we want this? Well, there's a couple things that are pretty impressive about it. It's going to hold 4 personal and 3 mission, as opposed to our basic lander, which is only 4 and 2. Supplies, it's got 9 as opposed to 6. It does take a structural mod, so we can bump something up a little bit. And it takes 2 utility mods, which would be cooler if we had more than 1 utility mod. But down the road, who knows? Maybe this will be worth the risk. Oh, and you can take 7 discoveries back instead of 5. So there are a lot of good things about this lander. You can bring back a pile of stuff. It's just, getting through that landing could be rough. So we'll see. Okay, so I've gone through the next few steps, which is I've chosen my lander mods, my equipment, and my crew. And I'm going to quickly run through it, and then we'll stop for the evening. Honestly, this video ended up longer than I expected, but there's a lot going on in this ship phase, a lot of pretty good strategy stuff, I think, to talk about. I think we're able to optimize and maximize our efficiency this session. So, with things we accomplish, if not with time. But so let's just quickly go through. For the lander, I decided to go with the Space Ranger. I'm not ready for the Pelican. I can't maximize its use without having, a second utility mod to put down. And they tell me I need shields for this landing. 2 shields ain't gonna cut it. I'm gonna feel much better. We're gonna go down with 4 shields, and hopefully, or 4 armor, and hopefully we'll be in good shape. We'll bring our emergency broadcast system. There's a better chance we may use it this time. We'll see how things go. So in terms of crew, only bringing 1. I have 2 available rank 2 that I could bring. The other 4 that all ranked up, they were in resting. But so we've got Mark making his return. Again, frequent checks of scouting, so that's going to be really good. He's got 3 charges. He can ignore the result of a danger die. I love thematically, right, as this is like the first serious planet we're going on to where we're going to encounter threats, and we've got somebody experienced who's going to be leading the way in Mark. So a definitive team leader this time. Now, who is Mark bringing to round out with him? Well, like I said, Agatha's taken a break. She was actually very busy working on that equipment, so we're grateful for that. In her stead, in security, we're going to give our first shot to Cheryl Hayes. And let's find out a little bit more about Cheryl. Her expertise is in defense. Cheryl doesn't want to speak of her past. She prefers to focus on the present. Despite the aura of mystery, people like her and respect her outstanding ability to comprehend alien languages. So, in case this dust storm that Vidas detected on the sensors attempts to communicate, then maybe Cheryl will be able to talk to it. Here she is. I think really what I went through here, in part of it, I was looking at security, finding symbols for other people. Her ability is fantastic, so I'm happy to give her the opportunity to level up. Don't know if we're going to need her conversion ability much at all, but again, there's a threat, so that could be helpful, having some defense. So she's going to go. Another thing about Agatha, I just want to run through. I'm not keen to get her up to rank 3, honestly. Like she's good at rank 2. I've gone over the things I like about her, but her ability, her ability is more effective when you have fewer dice. If you're rank 3 and you get up to and you've got a huge pile of dice, then having to sacrifice dice is generally not a big deal. So I'm fine leaving her rank 2. There's plenty of other stuff she can do. Again, you only get to rank 2 people in each section up to rank 3. You could always shuffle it around later, but that's work. So she's going to stay back for now, and it'll build up the number of rank 2 crew we have. Which that's kind of really, I want to get a nice stable of rank 2 so that as we start getting into 9, 10, 11 dice, we can use them all. Science. This is the one I got so excited about. I think you might remember from last one, upon the discovery that Science has that card that you can spend a charge to gain 2 lead tokens. Love it. Said if I get somebody with 4, they're going in Science. Well, guess what? We already have one. Keith Wood has 4 charges. His ability is fine. Spend 1 charge to move die with the accident. That could be really clutch in certain situations. But he could also get, potentially cycling through his deck, could get up to 8 leads. Probably not that much. But I love it. I love the ability. His symbol, whatever. Who knows? It didn't say we would necessarily need tech last time, and it was useful for multiple tests. But he's going to really help us make sure we can get some discoveries. Honestly, for his ability so good, it's almost worth considering bringing the Pelican, but almost, but not really. Let's actually find out a little bit more about Keith. His expertise in technology, a brilliant if overly cautious scientist, Dr. Wood, as he prefers to be called, has made few friends aboard the Vanguard, but his work in the field cannot be disputed. It's said he finalized a messy divorce before joining Vanguard, and he can often be seen smiling wistfully at photos of a family he apparently left behind. Boy, well, I hope his divorcee is not in a torpor chamber somewhere, because that would be awkward. Okay. Last but not least, for engineering, we are bringing Jessie Bennett. So she has an expertise in biology, which is good because there is supposedly biological curio to be found on this planet. So this is cool. Her ability is Follower. When another crew member travels from your sector, spend 1 charge to move with them, ignoring path icons. One of the other things I was talking about on my Board Game Geek article, in which you witnessed my last play, is you got 4 crew. Probably the optimal thing is going to be to split them off into 2 teams. Cover more ground, but always have that ability to help out and assist. So that's great. She's going to be able to follow around. I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit to equipment because I'm going to be including the jetpack. I'm going to give that to our fearless leader, Mark, so that he can jet around a little bit more easily just by spending a red die. And so when he moves, without ignoring the path icon, Jessie will be able to do so as well. Love the idea of that. Jessie left... Jessie is non-binary. Jessie left their twin brother behind to join Vanguard and often wonders if they made the right choice. Quiet, unassuming, they tend to fall in line and to follow the strongest personality on the team. But when pushed, they refuse to budge from a stance. Their efforts in collecting and cataloging alien organisms has been invaluable. And we look forward to you showing that invaluable experience on this mission. Okay, I already started telling you I was going to take the jetpack. Again, live stream rig. I'm looking forward to trying that out with 4 characters. Mark's going to be jetting ahead. And, Jessie's going to follow behind, but, won't be necessary. They'll be able to assist from other locations, as will the rest of the crew. Engineering, we're going to give them a construction arm. I don't know if I'm going to need it, but it could trigger... help me trigger card effects. So, again, I'm learning engineering and science. So in that regards, I don't always know the best strategy. I wasn't overly excited by any of the other equipment. The portable lab, I just said, I just talked about the adrenaline shot. I don't really want to take the chance this early on, especially not. I've got the extra supplies. Plus, I'm also mission equipment. I'm bringing dehydrated supplies, so we have the potential to have 10 supplies this mission. So we're going to be good there. I should have no problem getting dice back. Same thing, portable AI is just a way of mitigating dice use. So that's going to be really nice. The one other we're bringing the mining probe because, like I said, we want to make sure. Although we've got Keith is going to be really helpful in getting mining leads. Actually, and I do think I'll decide before my next session. I think I might actually make the switch to full deadly space mode, where I have to get 4 leads on a deck in order to claim a discovery. I actually don't think that would have changed things if I had played that way last time. There was one time I had 4 because I had 2 and I drew another 2. There were a couple discoveries I could have picked up with only 2 on the deck, thanks to I almost said Nicole. I almost did it. I did just say it. Monica. Thanks to Monica's ability. So I actually think I would have come out with max discoveries anyway. So I think next mission I am going to try it. And so it'll be nice to have the heavy mining laser to help us there. And then I'm going to take a med kit because I want to have some way of being able to deal with injuries. Doesn't fully get rid of the injury card. You still have the card, but at least you don't have to roll the die. So that is my equipment. Well, that's the equipment that's going on the lander. Right, and then I only have the 4 personal equipment, small equipment. The 4 small equipment we talked about before, those are going to go in their respective sections. They don't go on the lander board. The significance of that is you may run into an effect that makes you discard random equipment from your lander or something. These wouldn't be affected. They're technically not on the lander. They're in pockets and backpacks. That's almost everything for prep. We are going to stop there. The one other thing is we do have Mark has his backstory and his personal mission that he's going to be working on here. Once we get on the planet and we have better lay of the land, we'll take a look at that, read his backstory, find out what else makes him tick. So from this standpoint, we are ready to do the mission launch procedure. We'll do that next time. As always, for those of you who have made it all the way through this much longer than expected video, I hope it was I hope it was informative and at times entertaining. Certainly really appreciate it if you give a thumbs up here. I'm posting this stuff on Board Game Geek as well. I'm going to post a link to that thread where I talk more about stuff, as if you haven't heard enough from me already. Encourage you to check that out. And just thanks again. See you next time.